By the way, in this Q&A, you're definitely going to get tired of hearing me saying you need to take initiative, you need to be proactive, because if anything, I've learned that you need to carve your own path for your own career. Your career is a very active part of your life. It's for the rest of your life. And if you're not taking actionable steps to make it work for you, nobody will. I sound like a teacher. Hello honeys, it's Yals and welcome back to my channel. Today I thought we could sit down and have a chat around careers. In fact, this is a career and corporate Q&A. Now, I do have a full video detailing my career background, my corporate background, where I come from in terms of, you know, my degree, my qualification, and how I landed up in the bank, and of course in property finance, and then in property investments, which is where I left off before pursuing YouTube full-time. So that video is in the description box. Do check it out, and of course I'll try and link it up here somewhere. Anyway, let's get right into this video. If you do enjoy it, you know what to do. Give it a massive thumbs up, comment down below, and let me know what you are currently doing in your life. If you are doing anything. If you're not, let me know. If it's a gap year, let me know if you're at home, let me know if you're unemployed or employed, if you're self-employed, and what it is that you do. I would love to know what my audience does overall. And of course, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. I do hope you'll enjoy this video and find it empowering. Okay, so as per usual, I don't mention anybody's name. We want to keep everyone anonymous, just in case there's somebody who doesn't feel comfortable with their name being mentioned here on the internet. So first question is, how can you pave your way into your career while still in uni during this pandemic? Obviously this is not viable right now because it's during the pandemic. However, there are jobs where you can work virtually. So there's nothing wrong with utilizing the social platforms that we do have, formal ones of course for business like LinkedIn, to reach out to a company where you think you could add value virtually from your home, where you can work and obviously gain experience, find out where you can help out. Lots of businesses are letting people go, so where can you fill the gap where they need somebody but they can't afford to pay a high salary, for instance, or where somebody has to let go of maybe their PA because they can't afford their high salary, but surely you, a student, you might be looking for a stipend, and more than that, you're looking for experience. So reach out to companies that are possibly in line with your career and what you want to do while you're still studying. Seek gaps where you can fill, where you can play a role, but you need to research. Okay, research does not take a whole day. Every single day, dedicate an hour to researching which companies are in line with your career, and find out who you can email, whether it's the HR, whether it's somebody on LinkedIn that you can find. Even Facebook can help you with that. If you can see people's jobs and their titles, find out and find a way of connecting with those people and networking with them in order for you to see how you can obviously fill the gap in their workspaces virtually from home without leaving your house while you are studying as well. And also, don't have high expectations on salary. A stipend is a thank you. A stipend can still get you through the month as a student. So yeah, that's my advice to you. Any tips for introverts who want to thrive in corporate? Sometimes it feels like my personality limits me. So if you're an introvert in the workplace, I always say, well, you might not be able to raise your hand in front of people in the boardroom and say, hey, this is what I want to do. But during a pandemic, it's the perfect time for you to practice your email skills and understand where the gap lies. Again, it's that thing of filling a gap. Always find yourself being the solution in a team, okay? You can offer solutions whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, and sometimes you don't need to vocalize it. You can simply act by doing something that you see, oh, this is missing in our team, why don't I initiate? So taking initiative does not need your personality to be out there. By sending an email and volunteering to do things that maybe people don't want to do in the team, or people have not seen the opportunity that you see, you have to quietly write that email and send it. You don't have to open your mouth for that. And as an introvert, you can actually do things behind the scenes far better than those who speak, because your actions will actually speak much louder than their words. I hope that makes sense. Next question, what do you think the startup salary in corporates should be for a fresh graduate? I always say it depends on where you find yourself, which industry you find yourself in, and in that industry, which department you find yourself in, okay? In every industry, there are different salaries for graduates, just as there are different salaries for the people working in there, okay? The more niched a industry is, the more higher paid you will be. The same with departments. If you find yourself in a department that is a niche, for instance, if you're serving private clients, one-on-one clients, then you'll definitely be paid higher, okay? And I'll make the example of the industry that I found myself in first as a graduate. I found myself in a banking industry. Now, we were tons of graduates when we started. The most graduates were put in the branch level. Of course, in a pyramid section, the branch level of every bank serves the most people. people, the masses, they were paid the least. And as you went up on that triangle or that pyramid, unfortunately for them, everyone else higher up was getting paid a lot higher. Okay, so in corporate banking you'll be paid higher than business banking, and then of course in private banking you'll be paid much higher than everyone else at the bottom. Okay, I hope that really makes sense to you. There is no what is a standard, because there are tons of different industries. But in the financial sector, of course, if I didn't work in a commercial bank and I worked for the Reserve Bank as a graduate, I would have gotten paid far more. I did also reveal what salaries I earned from the beginning right till the end of my corporate career, so you can definitely head to that video if you want more information on the numbers. However, I will definitely say, if you're going to be working in the financial sector, I think right now starting salary should definitely be over 20 net. That is your net income. You should at least be going home with a 20k in the financial industry. In the property industry, I think you could take off a good 2,000 or 3,000 rand off of that. Those are the two industries that I am familiar with, that I've worked in. I've worked in the finance space, banking, as well as the property investment space, so that's the only two I can speak on. Otherwise, other high paying sectors are obviously fintech, which is financial and technology sector. Those are even better industries where you'll get paid. I mean, you could even start off with a 30 or 40,000 rand starting salary if you find yourself in a really good software company or a bank that specializes in artificial intelligence, which would be anything that requires people like software engineers. My brother's an engineer and he's in the artificial intelligence, so those, in as much as he's in the bank, he's probably one of the people who are getting paid even higher because it's a specialist role. Again, not just those industries, but the more niched out and more specialist of a role it is, the higher paying it is. Which sites can one search for internships for next year from a final year accounting student? I actually never looked for jobs on career websites. Instead, I went to the actual company's website that I was looking for. So if I was looking for a job at Amazon, I'm just going to be basic, not just accounting, at amazon.com, you go to Amazon, they've got a tab called careers. You actually look at what jobs they have available. The same with Nedbank. When I was looking for a job as a graduate at Nedbank, I went to Nedbank and I found out where their career portal is, and I looked for vacancies that existed for graduates there. So the first point is not just, oh, I'm gonna spray the market. Where do you want to work? What do you want to do? Do you see yourself as an accountant in a bank? Do you see yourself as an accountant in one of the big 5 firms? Can you look for those resources on their website? And if you can't find the career tabs, find out if they exist. Make that call. You can actually call those companies. And of course, if you can't find it anywhere else, then you can definitely go and spray the market by looking everywhere on Google on different career websites for graduates. I knew which banks I wanted to work for when I left university, and I took the chance by actually going onto the websites and finding out where exactly applications go, what resources they have available for graduates, and if you can, reach out to them, call the HR departments. There's nothing wrong with you taking the initiative and actually calling the banks directly or calling that company directly and finding out how the hiring process works. The next question is how to negotiate. You need to be able to articulate your value to somebody else, and if you're an introvert, write that down before you go to an interview or before you talk about raises with your actual boss in your existing workplace environment. Write down what you've done, see the value that you've actually put in, and understand where you actually stand in terms of your own value. The worst thing is to undervalue yourself, but the best thing is to actually physically go through your own portfolio by looking at the year overall, where you have worked, what you've done, your experience, what you've put on the table, what projects you've run by yourself, what initiatives you've taken that no one else has, you know, in the scale that you've done it, and then quantify that, put a number to that. And when you get to the table, if you cannot speak out the number, just move it across the table, give it to the person you're negotiating to, and say, that's where I think I should be at this point in this workplace because I've put in XYZ. And again, if you can't say what you've put in, you've got your folder with the printouts of emails, the printouts of the work that you've done, the records, the folders, the memos, whatever it is that you have done, print it out. Psych yourself up to not negotiate with yourself, negotiate with your boss about your worth. Don't talk yourself out of your worth. You need to be justifying your worth by the things that are in front of you. And thankfully, you would have done the practical work, so you don't have have to do much talking, especially if the evidence is right there. Negotiation is not just thumb sucked. There has to be evidence of why you're negotiating and why you think you're worth what you're worth. And I always say, I sound like a boss right now, if you think you're worth more, put it on paper, show me what you've done, and if it really does speak, because you know it's true, it will be evident. I will have no choice but to give you what you want. Of course, if we can't reach your mark, be willing to fall a little bit. Have a 10-20% buffer. Of course, that's why if you're going to negotiate, have a higher amount so that you fall closer to what you wanted. As a grad in a demanding field, when is the right time to change jobs for career acceleration? The easiest way is to evaluate your growth after 18 months. I always give myself 18 months, in fact a year. The first KPI session with your boss does give you an indication of what everyone else thinks and sees you doing in their eyes, but I do think 18 months is fair to look back at what you've done, what you've achieved in the workplace, and whether or not you would be due for promotion soon, yes or no. If the answer is no and you don't see yourself improving from what you've done, or you know you've done everything but this place doesn't allow you, there's that invisible ceiling, then definitely it's time to go. You can move. And if you see my job situation is not going to accelerate anytime soon, my position is not going to get any better anytime soon, leave. But if you can see that you're actually growing and you're adding value, then you can start taking the proactive steps of actually building up all the work that you've done, again that portfolio, and putting it before your boss after that 18 months, because you've done the work, right? You now have evidence to go to your boss and say, listen, I do think I need a raise, or I do think I need a promotion, I do think I'm no longer a senior analyst now, I should actually be an associate, I think I should be doing negotiations directly with clients now, you know, I've gone with you to client meetings, but at this point I do think I should be the one. That's how you accelerate your growth. That's how you step up and say, well, I've done my evaluation, I'm actually ready to take the next step. Most of the time it's not just your boss that needs to tell you you're due for a promotion. Most of the time it's you yourself, again, who needs to own this career and say it's time. And if there's rigidness and you know somebody resisting and people resisting in your workplace, then you know it's time to move. But do not move to the same position. Always when you move, make sure that it's a step higher. Okay, it's a better position, it's a higher position. Always try and apply for positions you probably don't qualify for. You're close but you're not there. Always go for it. That's how you accelerate, especially in our South African careers. That is how you stretch yourself and become better and start applying your mind to things you don't know and start learning new things. That's how you challenge yourself. And most of the time there's no growth in our comfort zone. So if at 18 months you still find yourself very, very comfortable, you are, baby, leave, because there's no acceleration there. There is no growth that exists in comfort zones. How do I deal with colleagues who don't take the job seriously and you end up compromising as well? First of all, there's nothing you can do about people not doing their jobs. You don't want to be a snitch in the group or you know in your team, but what you want to do is, if you're taking on other people's tasks, let that be your power, girl. If you're doing 5 or 6 extra tasks that are outside of your job description and you know it's X and YZ's job, you need to use that as an opportunity to justify a raise, because you deserve to be paid for the work that you're doing. If the work you're doing is outside of the scope of your own work, you need to be paid for that extra overtime, basically. So you basically store up all the work that you have done that's outside of the scope of your work, and at the end of the year or half year, 6 months, when you're doing your KPIs with your boss, you put that in your portfolio and you justify as evidence to prove that you have done this work. You show the work via, whether it's via email, whether whatever record you have of this work that you've done that's outside your scope, it's your colleagues' work, they didn't do the work. You make sure that work speaks for you to justify more of an income for you, because you've worked for it and you deserve that much. So make sure that you're utilizing your colleagues' disadvantages to your own advantage in the workplace. I don't believe in snitching other people. You could always subtly hint in meetings what you've done as well, just to lift yourself up slowly on that corporate ladder and in their mindsets. But it's very obvious that they don't work. Your boss probably is aware that they don't work. What they want to be aware of is how you are doing better in your position with the situation that you're currently given. That's how you're going to make your money, and that's how you're going to climb up the corporate ladder. I'm not saying that you need to take people's crap, no, but I'm saying that you need to address it in a way that makes you look good and also doesn't make them look really, really bad. And if you can make money out of it, why not? Final year student, what to expect, how to prepare yourself for a 9 to 5. To be quite frank, everything that you've learned in university is not really fully applicable in the working world. So go in there with a mindset of learning, absorbing all that you can, and when you don't know, there's nothing wrong with lifting your hand. It is the best time as a new person, a graduate in the workplace, to lift up your hand and say, I don't understand. Also, find a mentor very early. The sooner you find a mentor within the workplace, the better. Make sure your mentor is not your boss. You want somebody who's objective, somebody who doesn't really know and interact with you very closely, so that they can be honest with you at all times. There's no bias. You know, somebody who's in credit if you're in the sales team, for instance. You know, somebody who can say, look, I've read some of your work and your writing skills suck. You need somebody like that to actually push you in the workplace. Somebody who might say, you don't belong in the sales team, you're too introverted, and from what you've told me, your goals are actually far off from what you're doing right now. Don't you think you should pursue something else? Don't you think you should look at another department within this sector maybe, or even in this department, just not in that team? You don't belong there. You need somebody like that to help you carve out the career that you want, and hopefully bring out the best in you. And that can't be your boss. Definitely not your boss. I think this is a good time to end this video. I absolutely enjoyed this Q&A. I loved hearing your questions around careers, and I think there might be a part 2 because there are tons of questions that I did not answer, but I did feel that we need to firstly get the grounds of establishing yourself in corporate first. We need to get that foundation right before we can move on to more complex questions. You need to firstly establish yourself in the workplace, and understanding your worth, understanding what you're doing there, and trying to be the solution is probably the biggest answer for every single question that was asked here today. I hope you did enjoy this video. I love you guys so much. If you've got any other questions, drop it down in the comment section below, and yeah, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already.